My beloved brothers and sisters, we live in a world where not every smile carries sincerity and not every glance is free from harm. There is a reality many people ignore until they begin to feel its weight, the reality of the evil eye. The evil eye is real. It is not superstition. It is not imagination. It is something acknowledged in our day. But listen carefully. Islam does not teach us to live in fear. It teaches us to live in awareness, strength, and trust in Allah. Let me share with you 5 signs that may indicate something is not right within your home. The first sign is a sudden loss of peace. A home that was once filled with calmness, laughter, and barakah suddenly feels heavy. Small matters turn into big arguments. You find irritation where there used to be love. Ask yourself, what changed? The second sign is unexplained tiredness or sadness. Members of the household begin to feel drained without reason. No medical issue, no clear cause, yet the heart feels burdened. Sometimes it's not just physical, it's spiritual. The third sign is constant conflict. Arguments become frequent even over the smallest issues. Words hurt more than they used to. Unity begins to break. And remember, one of the easiest ways to weaken a family is to divide their hearts. The fourth sign is obstacles in everything. Plans fail again and again. Whisk feels tight. Opportunities slip away. It's as if something is blocking the flow of goodness. The fifth sign is a distance from Allah. This is the most dangerous of all. Salah becomes difficult. Qur'an feels heavy. The heart that once remembered Allah easily now struggles. This is not just a sign, it is a warning. But my brothers and sisters, do not panic, because the one who created you is greater than anything that can harm you. Protection is not complicated, it is powerful in its simplicity. Return to your salah, guard it like your life depends on it, because it does. Fill your home with the recitation of the Qur'an, especially Surah Al-Baqarah, for where it is recited, evil cannot remain. Make your morning and evening Adhkar. Even if you are busy, even if you are tired, don't leave it. Say Bismillah when you enter your home, Bismillah when you eat, and teach your children to do the same. And most importantly, purify your heart. Sometimes we fear the evil eye of others, but forget to cleanse our own hearts from jealousy, pride, and negativity. A clean heart is a shield. Tie your camel, take your precautions. But always remember, your ultimate protection comes from Allah alone. If He protects you, no one can harm you. And if He tests you, it is only to bring you closer to Him. So turn back to Him. Strengthen your home with His remembrance. Fill it with dua, with patience, with love. And you will see the darkness will not last, because no darkness can remain where the light of Allah is present. May Allah protect our homes, our families, and our hearts. Many people today dismiss the concept of the evil eye as something cultural or outdated, but in reality it is something deeply rooted in Islamic teaching. It is not superstition, nor is it a myth created to scare people. It is a spiritual reality that has been clearly acknowledged within our deen. The harm that comes from the evil eye is subtle, and that is why it is often misunderstood or ignored. A person may look at something with admiration, but without remembering Allah, that gaze can carry an effect. It is not always intentional, and this is what makes it even more serious, because it can come from anyone, even someone who loves you. In Islam, we are taught that the evil eye is real, and its effects can reach a person, their health, their wealth, and even their family life. It is not limited to strangers or enemies. Sometimes it can come from those closest to us simply because they see something in our lives and feel a sense of amazement or even hidden envy. This is why we are taught to always say words of blessing when we admire something, to protect others from harm and to remind ourselves that everything comes from Allah. However, understanding the reality of the evil eye does not mean living in constant fear or suspicion of others. Islam is a balanced way of life. It teaches awareness without paranoia. You are not meant to look at every difficulty and immediately blame the evil eye, nor are you supposed to accuse people or damage relationships based on assumptions. Instead, you are guided to strengthen your connection with Allah and to build a shield of protection through remembrance and faith. The evil eye operates in a way that is unseen, and that is why its effects can sometimes be confusing. A person may experience sudden changes in their life without clear explanation. But even then, Islam teaches us to first reflect on ourselves, our actions, and our relationship with Allah. Not every hardship is due to the evil eye. Sometimes it is a test, sometimes a consequence of our own choices, and sometimes a means of purification. This understanding keeps a believer grounded and prevents them from falling into fear or superstition. At the same time, denying the existence of the evil eye completely is also not correct. When something is affirmed in our religion, we accept it with humility. We do not exaggerate it, and we do not exaggerate it, and we do not ignore it. We take the middle path. We protect ourselves through the means that have been given to us, such as supplication, remembrance, and reliance upon Allah, while continuing to live our lives with trust and positivity. It is also important to understand that the evil eye has no independent power. It cannot harm you unless Allah allows it. This is a crucial point that brings peace to the heart. Your protection is not in your own hands alone, and it is certainly not in the hands of people around you. Your protection is with Allah. When you place your trust in Him, when you remember Him consistently, and when you live a life that is connected to Him, you build a barrier that is stronger than anything that can harm you. So the reality of the evil eye should awaken us, not frighten us. It should remind us to be mindful of our words, to be grateful for what we have, and to stay connected to the one who controls all things. When this understanding settles in your heart, you begin to live with a sense of calm strength, aware of the unseen, but fully trusting in the protection of Allah. When something begins to affect a home spiritually, it rarely appears in an obvious or dramatic way at first. It creeps in quietly through subtle changes that are easy to dismiss. That is why awareness is so important. A home is meant to be a place of peace, comfort, and emotional safety. When that atmosphere begins to shift without a clear reason, it is worth paying attention. One of the earliest signs can be a change in the overall feeling of the home. You walk in and something feels off. There is no clear argument, no visible issue, yet the environment feels heavy. Conversations become shorter, smiles become less frequent, and a sense of unease starts to settle in. It is not something you can easily explain, but you can feel it in your heart. This loss of tranquility is often one of the first indicators that something unseen may be affecting the space. Another subtle sign is a change in behavior among family members. People who are on patient may become easily irritated. Small matters that were once overlooked suddenly become sources of tension. You may notice that family members begin to withdraw from each other, spending less time together or avoiding meaningful conversation. The bond that once felt natural begins to require effort, and even then, it may not feel the same. Sleep disturbances can also be a sign that something is not right. Individuals within the home may start experiencing restless nights, unusual dreams, or a constant feeling of tiredness despite getting enough rest. When multiple members of a household begin to experience this without any medical explanation, it becomes something to reflect upon. The body may be physically present, but the mind and heart feel unsettled. You may also notice a decrease in motivation and energy. Tasks that were once simple begin to feel overwhelming. There is a sense of laziness or heaviness that cannot be easily shaken off. Even acts of goodness such as praying on time or reciting the Qur'an may start to feel more difficult than before. This is particularly important because when a home begins to lose its connection with Allah, it becomes more vulnerable spiritually. Another subtle sign can be an increase in misunderstandings. Words are taken the wrong way, intentions are questioned, and communication becomes strained. It is not always about major conflicts, but rather a constant pattern of small disagreements that slowly build distance between hearts. Over time, this can weaken the unity of the family without anyone fully realizing how it started. Sometimes, there may also be an unusual pattern of things going wrong within the home. Items may break more frequently, plans may fall apart, or there may be a recurring sense of disruption. While these things can happen naturally, a consistent pattern without clear cause can be a reason to pause, use and reflect. However, it is very important to approach all of this with balance. Not every difficulty is a sign of the evil eye. Life itself comes with challenges, and every home goes through ups and downs. The key is not to jump to conclusions, but to remain aware while strengthening your spiritual foundation. Instead of becoming fearful or suspicious, these signs should encourage you to reconnect with Allah. Increase the remembrance within your home. Bring back the recitation of the Qur'an. Make dua, not just in times of distress, but regularly. A home that is filled with the dhikr of Allah becomes a place of light. And where there is light, darkness cannot remain. Pay attention, reflect, but most importantly, respond with faith, not fear. When something negative begins to affect a home on a spiritual level, its impact is not limited to one area. It spreads quietly, touching different parts of life in ways that may seem unrelated at first. One of the most noticeable effects is the loss of peace within the household. A home that once felt calm and welcoming can begin to feel tense and uncomfortable. You may find that even when everything appears normal on the outside, there is an inner restlessness that does not go away. People sit together, but their hearts feel distant. Silence replaces warmth, and the sense of comfort that once defined the home begins to fade. This disturbance often extends to a person's emotional and physical well-being. Individuals may start to feel unusually tired, even after adequate rest. There can be a lingering sense of sadness or anxiety without any clear reason. It becomes difficult to focus, to stay motivated, or even to enjoy things that once brought happiness. Over time, this emotional weight can affect daily life, making simple tasks feel burdensome. While there may not always be a clear medical explanation, the experience is very real for those going through it. Relationships within the family are often among the first to suffer. Small disagreements can escalate quickly, and patience seems to run thin. Words that were once spoken with kindness may now carry sharpness or misunderstanding. It becomes easier to assume the worst about one another and harder to forgive. This creates a cycle where tension builds, communication breaks down, and emotional distance grows. What makes this particularly harmful is that it does not always appear as major conflict, but rather as a constant undercurrent of irritation and disconnect. Children in the home can also be affected in subtle ways. They may become more irritable, withdrawn, or difficult to manage. Their behavior may change without a clear cause, and they may struggle with focus or emotional stability. Since children are more sensitive, they can sometimes reflect the overall atmosphere of the home more quickly than adults. This makes it even more important for parents to be aware of the environment they are creating and maintaining. Another area that may be impacted is rest and general ease in life. A person may begin to notice that things are not flowing as they used to. Opportunities seem to slip away. Plans do not work out, and there is a constant feeling of being held back. Financial strain may increase, or unexpected expenses may arise repeatedly. While these situations can be part of normal life, a persistent pattern can leave a person feeling stuck and frustrated. Perhaps the most serious impact is on a person's relationship with Allah. Acts of worship may begin to feel heavier. Salah, which once brought peace, may now feel like a burden. The Qur'an may not be recited as often, and even when it is, the connection may feel weaker. This spiritual distance is not always noticed immediately, but it gradually affects the heart. And when the heart becomes distant from Allah, everything else in life begins to feel out of place. Despite all of this, it is important to remember that these effects are not meant to defeat a believer. They are signs that call for awareness and action. Instead of allowing these challenges to break you, they should push you to return to Allah with greater sincerity. Increase your remembrance, strengthen your abadat, and make your home a place where Allah is constantly remembered. No matter how strong the impact may feel, it is never stronger than the protection of Allah. When you turn to Him with sincerity, you begin to restore what was lost. Peace returns, hearts soften, and the home slowly regains its light. One of the most important aspects when facing any difficulty, especially something that feels unseen or unclear, is to pause and look within ourselves before looking outward. It is very easy to assume that every hardship is caused by something external, something beyond our control. But Islam teaches us to begin with self-reflection. This is not about blaming yourself for everything, but about honestly assessing your relationship with Allah and the state of your heart. Sometimes in the rush of daily life, we become distant without even realizing. Salah may become rushed or delayed. The Quran may sit on a shelf for days without being opened. Dua may only come from our lips when we are in desperate need rather than being a regular part of our lives. These small changes may not seem significant at first, but over time they create a gap between us and our Creator. And when that connection weakens, the heart becomes more vulnerable. When something begins to feel wrong in your home or within yourself, instead of immediately assuming the worst, ask yourself, how is my connection with Allah? Am I remembering Him as I should? Am I grateful for what I have? Or have I become accustomed to His blessings without acknowledging them? These questions are not meant to discourage you, but to guide you back to what truly strengthens and protects you. There is a powerful wisdom in turning inward first. It keeps you grounded. It prevents you from falling into suspicion of others or developing negative assumptions about people around you. It also protects your heart from fear. Because when you focus on strengthening your faith, you are not giving power to the problem. You are reconnecting with the one who controls all outcomes. You are reconnecting with the one who controls all outcomes. At times, a person may become overly focused on the idea of harm from others, constantly worrying about who may be causing it or why. This kind of thinking can slowly take over the mind and create anxiety. Islam does not teach us to live in that state. Instead, it redirects our focus toward Allah. When your qalban is attached to Him, your fear of creation begins to fade. You realize that nothing can touch you unless it has already been allowed. Self-reflection also involves looking at the condition of your heart toward others. Are there feelings of jealousy, resentment, or pride that may have settled within you? These are spiritual weaknesses that can affect your overall state, just as we seek protection from harm coming from outside. We must also purify what is inside us. A clean heart not only brings peace, but also acts as a form of protection. When you begin to strengthen your faith, you will notice a shift. Your salah becomes more meaningful. Your dua becomes more sincere. Your reliance on Allah becomes stronger. And with that, your perspective changes. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by what you cannot see, you feel comforted by the presence of the one who sees everything. This does not mean you ignore the possibility of external harm, but it means you do not let it control your thoughts or emotions. You take P. It means that Islam has given you remembrance, supplication, recitation, but your qalb remains calm because it is anchored in trust. In the end, self-reflection is not just a response to difficulty, it is a path to growth. It brings you closer to Allah, strengthens your inner state, and fills your life with a sense of purpose and clarity. And when your relationship with Allah is strong, you begin to realize that no matter what you face, you are never alone. And you are always under His protection. Protection in Islam is not something complicated or reserved for a select few. It is simple, consistent, and deeply powerful when done with sincerity. Allah has not left us exposed or defenseless. Instead, He has given us daily practices that act as a shield, not just for individuals, but for entire homes and families. The beauty of these acts is that they are easy to incorporate, yet their impact is of Iman when done with presence of heart. One of the greatest forms of protection is the recitation of the Qur'an. This is not just a book to be read occasionally. It is a source of light, guidance, and safeguarding. When the Qur'an is recited in a home, it brings a sense of tranquility that cannot be explained. It changes the atmosphere. It softens hearts. It pushes away negativity. Even if you do not understand every word, the very act of recitation carries immense barakah, making it a habit to recite daily, even if only a few verses can transform the spiritual state of your home. There are also specific chapters and verses that are known for their protective qualities. Reciting Surah Al-Baqarah in the home is especially powerful. It is mentioned that harmful forces do not remain in a place where this surah is recited regularly. This does not mean it must be done perfectly or in one sitting every time, but consistency is key. Playing its recitation, reading portions daily, and making it part of your routine can have a profound effect. Alongside the Quran, the daily Adhkar, the morning and evening remembrances, are a shield that many people underestimate. These are short supplications taught to us that take only a few minutes, yet they carry immense protection. Beginning your day with the remembrance of Allah sets a tone of reliance and awareness. Ending your day with it places you under His care. Even in moments of busyness, making time for these adhkar is one of the most valuable investments you can make. Simple phrases also hold great power when said with sincerity. Saying Bismillah before entering your home, before eating, and before starting any task invites barakah and protection. It is a reminder that you are not acting alone, but under the name and care of Allah. These small habits, when practiced consistently, build a protective environment without requiring extra effort. Another important aspect is teaching these practices to your family. Protection is not just an individual effort. It is something that should be shared. Encourage your children, your spouse, and those in your home to remember Allah regularly. When the entire household is engaged in remembrance, the effect becomes even stronger. It creates a collective atmosphere of faith where everyone contributes to maintaining spiritual strength. Dua is also a powerful tool that should never be neglected. Speak to Allah openly. Ask Him to protect your home, your family, and your qalbin. Do not wait for problems to arise before you make dua. Make it a daily habit in ease and in difficulty. The more you turn to Allah, the more you build a connection that brings both comfort and protection. It is important to understand that these actions are not just rituals, they are expressions of reliance, humility, and Iman. When done with sincerity, they become a means through which Allah places barakah in your life and shields you from harm. Protection does not come from fear or constant worry. It comes from consistency, sincerity, and trust. When your home is filled with the remembrance of Allah, it becomes a place of nur. And where there is light, there is no room for darkness to remain. Trusting Allah while taking spiritual precautions is one of the most beautiful balances in Islam. It teaches you that you are not powerless, but at the same time, you are not in complete control. There is a harmony between effort and reliance, between action and surrender. Many people fall into one of two extremes. Either they become so fearful that they rely only on precautions, or they claim to trust Allah but neglect the means that He has provided. The believer is guided to stand firmly in the middle. Taking precautions is part of our deen. Just as you would lock your door to protect your home, you are also taught to protect your ruh and your family through remembrance, dua, and the recitation of the Qur'an. These are not optional extras. They are means of protection given to you by Allah Himself. Ignoring them while claiming trust is not true reliance. At the same time, becoming overly dependent on these actions without connecting your heart to Allah turns them into empty habits. True reliance means that you take every step within your ability, but your heart does not depend on those steps. Your heart depends on Allah alone. You recite, you make dua, you remember Him. But deep inside, you know that protection does not come from your actions. It comes from Him accepting those actions. There is a deep sense of peace that comes with this understanding. When you know that Allah is in control of everything, your fear begins to fade. You are no longer overwhelmed by what you cannot see or explain. You are not constantly worried about who may harm you or how it might happen. Instead, you feel a calm confidence, knowing that nothing can touch you unless it has already been written. This does not make you careless. It makes you strong. You continue your daily adhkar, you maintain your salah, you fill your home with the Qur'an. But you do all of this with a kalimat that is at ease, not one that is anxious. Not one that is anxious. You are not performing these acts out of panic, but out of faith and obedience. At times, Allah may still allow you to go through difficulty. This does not mean your protection has failed. It means there is wisdom beyond what you can see. Sometimes a test is a means of purification. Sometimes it is a way to bring you closer to Him. And sometimes it is a reminder to return when you have drifted. When your trust in Allah is strong, even hardship begins to carry meaning. It is also important to remember that placing your trust in Allah protects you from falling into unhealthy thoughts. You do not become suspicious of everyone around you. You do not assume harm in every situation. Your heart remains clean, your relationships remain intact, and your mind remains at peace. This is a blessing in itself. When you combine effort with reliance, you create a powerful shield. You are doing what is within your control while leaving the outcome to the one who controls everything. This balance keeps you grounded, it keeps you focused, and most importantly, it keeps your connection with Allah strong. In the end, trusting Allah is not just about protection. It is about living with certainty that He is always with you, always gathering over every situation. When this belief settles in your heart, you begin to move through life with a sense of security that no fear can shake. So take your precautions, but do not let your heart depend on them. Let your heart depend on Allah. Because when He is your protector, you have a protection that never fails and the support that never leaves. As we come to the end, my beloved brothers and sisters, remember this clearly. You are not weak and you are not unprotected. Whatever exists in this world, seen or unseen, is that the control of Allah alone. The evil eye may be real, its effects may be felt, but it is never greater than the protection of the one who created you. Do not leave this message feeling afraid. Leave it feeling awakened, aware of your surroundings, aware of your spiritual state, and most importantly, aware of your connection with Allah. Because the strongest home is not the one with the highest walls, but the one filled with the remembrance of Allah. If you notice signs, do not panic. Turn back to Him. Strengthen your salah. Fill your home with Qur'an. Revive your Adhkar. Make dua with sincerity and purify your heart from within. These are not just actions, they are your shield, your noro, your protection. And always remember, balance is key. Take your precautions, but do not let fear take over your heart. Place your trust in Allah with full certainty. Because when you rely on Him, you rely on the one who never fails. Your home can become a place of peace again. Your heart can feel light again. Your family can be united again. Nothing is too difficult for Allah. So walk forward with confidence. Protect your home with faith. Guard your family with remembrance. And anchor your heart in trust, and you will see by the will of Allah that no darkness can remain where His light is present. May Allah protect our homes, fill them with barakah, and keep our hearts firm upon His remembrance. Ameen.